everybody, denskil here. Hope you're having a good day. In today's episode of Gear Journeys, I thought we'd look at my 2023 pedal board. All the pedals are in, all wired up for power, signal, and MIDI. I've got some presets set up. I've got some patches programmed on each of the pedals, and I've got the MIDI synced up now. We'll do just a quick run through and demo of the pedals and signal chain here. All of my crappy mediocre playing will be done on this excellent Sir Classic. Single hum, and this guy is splittable. As far as how this board is set up, I have it running in stereo right now, going to two different amps. Amp number 1 is my Mesa Mark V 35, and amp number 2 is my Friedman small box combo. For mics, I'm using two Shure SM57s. Both are running through API 512 preamps, straight into Logic with no post-processing. Here's the walkthrough. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. If this is your first time here, please consider liking and subscribing. So here's a look at the board. It looks kind of big and complicated, but it's really pretty straightforward here. So a quick look at the signal chain here overall is that my guitar comes into this compressor here, the Cali 76 stacked edition from Origin Effects. Next goes into the EQD Hoof Reaper. Next to the Dirty Shirley by Friedman. Next pedal up is the Timmy. Next up is the Wampler Tumnus. Next up is the Rev G4. From there, I go into the GFI Synesthesia, and that's where the signal splits into stereo. I go stereo into the Eventide H90, and stereo into the Maris LVX, and then stereo to the Source Audio EQ2, and stereo out. I can also go mono if I want. I just have to pull one of these plugs out. The EQ2 takes care of summing everything to mono for me. Now, as far as MIDI is concerned, I've got the DMC Micro Pro here in the lower corner. It's all set up, and it's controlling 4 devices, which is the limit for that for the Micro Pro. And it's controlling the Synesthesia, H90, LVX, and the Ventris. The way I have it set up to work with the MIDI control is that I've got a couple patches set up, which is basically 2 patches. One patch turns everything on and one patch turns everything off. I've got it set up for clock speed, so it synchronizes the clocks for all of the devices except for the reverb. And I've got it set up to scroll through presets on the Ventris, the Synesthesia, as well as toggle performance and select mode in H90 and go through presets on that. So that's how I've got MIDI implemented and working on this board. It makes it extremely flexible and handy when I'm trying to switch patches between all the different pedals. So yeah, we'll start with the beginning signal chain here. Please excuse the mediocre, terrible playing. But here we begin at the start is the Cali 76 Stacked Edition by Origin Effects. That's my compression. First, I'll give you just my basic clean tone here. So I really love this compressor. Adds a lot of squishy goodness. So compressor off. Compressor on. So different attack and a little bit of a volume boost for those clean passages that I sometimes like to play. Next up in the chain is the Hoof Reaper by Earthquaker Devices. You'll see it's got 3 buttons on it. This is the Reaper side, this is the Hoof side, and in the middle is an octave up effect, which works even when the other fuzz pedals sections aren't turned on. So we'll start with the Reaper. And we'll try the Hoof side. And of course you can stack them. little bit noisy. But yeah, bringing in the octave sounds pretty cool. On its own. A little bit of compression on that. I love that sound. It's pretty wild and crazy for me. So that's that. Let's go to the Friedman Dirty Shirley. So that's a really cool amp in a box Marshall type sound. I'm just going to skip over the next pedals in the chain just to go over to the Rev G4, because you might be looking at these two pedals and thinking like, why do you have two sort of high gain heavy distortions? That's because they sound real different. So here's the Friedman again. And here's the G4. Dirty Shirley. So whereas the Friedman sounds like, like the amp, like a super hot rodded Marshall kind of thing. The Dirty Shirley, that is. The Rev G4 has a more modern, higher gain, bone crushing type tone to me. It lacks that Marshall-y character, and it sounds more like a diesel. Well, it is the fourth channel in the Rev amp that they make, so it makes sense that it has that kind of character. Next pedal up is one of my favorites of all time. I've had this pedal for a long time. It's the Timmy here by Paul Cochran. Yeah, so that's basically a type of blues breaker circuit. I love it. Sounds great. I sometimes stack it with the Friedman here for, if I want to go nuts. So that gets a little crazy, but yeah, the Timmy is just fantastic. I've had the MXR version too. It sounds pretty much the same to me. Yeah, it's just one of my go-to pedals. Next up in the chain here is the Wampler Tumnus. Yeah, I just love that pedal for that really sweet kind of slightly overdriven sound. It works just amazing. So yeah. So that kind of completes the gain section. So we go from the Hoof Reaper to the Friedman to the Timmy to the Tumnus to the Rev 4, and I've got basically all my flavors of gain covered there. Everything from fuzzy sort of jangly twangy type distortions, like I can do surf music, all the way up to like some pretty hardcore heavy metal stuff, and and just if I want to, blues and that kind of stuff is really accessible with these pedals, with this gain section here. And yeah, sometimes like I'll flip on the compressor, say behind the Tumnus, just to give it a little more juice. So that tends to sound like a good combo. We'll just go through the effects chain up here is pretty crazy. These pedals have millions of presets and patches on them. I'm just going to go through them kind of quickly, just to give you an idea of what they sound and how I use these particular pedals. So the Synesthesia was one of the first pedals that I came across that had the ability to put two different algorithms together. Had the H9 for a long time. Now I have the H90, but Synesthesia was kind of one of the first to the market with the ability to have two really powerful algorithms playing at the same time, or so you could separate them. So I've got it set up for some patches here that I just made, just some cool stuff that I like. So here's this patch has it's tri-chorus and some sort of filter. Whoops. Here we go. So Some stereo tri-chorus there. Yeah, so I have independent control of each effect here. So let's just go to another patch here. So this one's got octave and a dimension C type chorus. And just another quick one here. This is my funk patch. So it starts with an envelope filter. And I can add some univibe to it. Or I can just have just univibe. And if I don't like that rhythm, I can just adjust it with the clock there. Next up is the Eventide H90. This is another pretty new pedal, and I'm already blown away by it. I've had H9, I still have one, and the H90 just is ridiculous. I use it in two ways. One is that I have some patches set up where I'm using two separate algorithms. So in this case, again, another univibe type thing here, but I could put anything there. That's a and that's a reverse reverb, so I can put them together. That sounds pretty wild. The other way that I use the H9 is in bank mode, so I can toggle that with my MIDI. So now I'm in bank mode, and I can pick from 3 different presets that I have, or programs, I should say. And I've got it set up so that I can bank through the banks separately. So if I want to go to bank 2, I just MIDI up to it, and I got these access to these 3 patches at once. And then when I want to go to performance mode, let's say I want to break, let's say I'm on this patch here, and I want to separate the octave from the wah, I just toggle it. And now I can turn on. That's my octave. And that's my wah. Put them together. And in this mode, if I want to go to the next patch, I just toggle up. And I'm on the next patch, Jazzy BZ there. So with MIDI, the H90 and even the synesthesia becomes super powerful and very flexible. You can use it in stomp box mode or in preset mode. Next up is the Maris LVX. This has got 3 different presets per bank. I just use the 2 bank buttons on the Maris LVX itself just to scroll up and down. There are some wild patches on here. I'll just show you mine here that I just made really quickly. So I just made a basic digital delay here. Here's an analog delay. And then here's a tape echo. I'll put a little more sauce on that one, but just to give you an idea, like some of the patches are just ridiculous. So here's a quick one. I don't even know what this one, I don't know. Let's hear what this one does. Okay, so that's pretty damn cool. Moving on, next we've got the Ventris here from Source Audio, and this pedal is also really cool. I have it set up so that I can scroll. I've only got 4 presets banked in here. And first one is just a basic reverb. If I go to the next patch, it's a little deeper reverb. By the way, the secondary switch turns on momentary functions. So you got some momentary functions with the secondary switch there. My next reverb is this one. The way I have it set up is to use a secondary reverb on the momentary switch there. So that's the Ventris reverb. And lastly, up in the corner here, I've got the Source Audio EQ2. I use it as an EQ and as a boost. So here's my tone without it. This is just the way I have it set up. So a bit of a boost, some high end, and chopping of a bit of the low end for some solos there. And that, like I said, that runs in stereo. I don't have it hooked up to MIDI right now, but there are 4 presets that you can select through. So that's a look at my pedal board for 2023. You might notice the absence of a tuner. I don't really need one. There happens to be tuners built into the H90, the Maris LVX, and the Source Audio EQ2. Anyway, if you have any questions about MIDI or anything like that related to my board, please drop me a line in the comments. Do you have any of these pedals as well? I'd love to hear how you're using them, especially if it's in stereo. So with that, this is denskil signing off. Hope you have a great day.